Hey, what is going on, everybody? Invisible Boilon back for another video. Hopefully I'll get my cam situation resolved soon. In the meantime, I hope you guys have been enjoying my voice attentively and not thinking about what I am or not wearing today. But anyways, we're going to talk about the current known requirements for the Morgan Le Fay Pestilence Scourge event in terms of traits that have been seen within the JSON files for each node that has been reported to me. Now, I appreciate everyone who came forward with this information to me because it allows us to really talk about this, since we had some suspicions that there was going to be more than just Dark Hunters and Web Warriors, because we saw a screenshot of Node 1 on one of the blog posts requiring hero characters, and while yes, there are more traits as part of this, some harder than others, but I want to take a look at each of them, go through my roster, and kind of share my thoughts about what characters you should take in, or at least consider using. Now, there are some things that we don't know. We don't know the exact extent of all of the Scourges. There's going to be quite a few of them. I think kind of in the range of like 30 to 50 possibly, from what we saw on one of the social media videos, which I'll run over really quickly too in this video. There is one particular trait that is a bit nasty, and I want to pay close attention to this one. So without further ado, let's get this roller coaster started. Okay, so this is not a spreadsheet. Actually, this is just a notepad. It's actually an untitled notepad. But these are these are the missions that we're going to be seeing in the first Scourge event. Now, as you can see, Hero, Global, and then Mission 5, which is, at least in difficulty 6+, is Web Warriors and Dark Hunters, but in difficulties 5 and lower is City, not those two teams. And then Mission 6, Villain, Cosmic, and then 10 is the same as 5, which again, difficulty 6 or higher is Web Warriors or Dark Hunters, and then below 5 and lower is going to be City. So it's not until you hit difficulty 6 that you're going to be restricted in using the Web Warriors and Dark Hunters team. Otherwise, it's a bit more broad in some cases here, and actually the beginning is going to be pretty easy in my opinion. And as far as when these traits activate, I've been told that this is largely going to be their 5+, but some of the instances, I heard the Cosmic and possibly the Global doesn't activate until like difficulty 3 or plus. Most of us who are going to be trying to get Morgan Le Fay unlocked on the first pass, we're going to be concerned mostly with like difficulty 5 and higher. So I'm going to be assuming in this video that you're going to be trying to run that, which is roughly, I believe, gear tier 13 and higher for 5, and then I think the requirements for difficulty 6 was recommended at gear tier 15, but you'll probably be able to run it at gear tier 14. But there's a lot of good choices of characters, so let's start at the top. So Hero and Global, let's just check that out. I mean, really, there's going to be a lot for you to choose from, so I don't think this is going to be very hard at all. Frankly, Hero, you have a lot of great choices, right? Like Secret Avengers are all heroes. You have the Eternals, they're all heroes as well. Hell, you got some of the Dark Hunters as well, but you'll probably want to save those for later on, obviously, unless you're running difficulty 5. You have the Young Avengers, they're all 5, and hell, maybe I'll use Squirrel Girl. She's really good too. You have the Web Warriors, of course. Once again, they're all heroes. You have Kestrel, you have Shang-Chi. You know, there's tons of astonishing X-Men. Do I need to go on? Cloak and Dagger. Tons of character options here for heroes. So really, I don't think that's going to be difficult. Honestly, for me, probably Secret Avengers and the Eternals. I think that should be good enough. It's probably going to blow them up. So I don't think we really need to go over that because it's not going to be that difficult. Global, again, actually runs into the Secret Avengers, right? You know, because a lot of them are Secret Avengers. You could use Doom, but I want you to, because there was villains in there, and that's going to be the one trait that I think is going to be more challenging, so I want to take that into consideration. So you probably don't want to use all of your characters. Like, if they double up in different traits, like I would not run I would not run Doom early. I would try and save him for those villain traits because I think that you're probably going to need it. So what I would do is, at least for the global section, consider using Secret Avengers. Try not to double up if you can help it anyways, using the same characters in every single node. Depending on how much damage, depending on what Scourges you're running, I think that it might be okay to run Secret Avengers because Maria Hill does heal. So having like Cap Sam, Maria Hill, Sharon, and like Shuri, I guess, if you're someone who has Shuri built up fairly high because of Doom Raid, that kind of stuff, and because she's hero and global. Baron Zemo is in that list. Most of the Astonishing X-Men, frankly, is in that list. So that's something that you could use as well. Any of the villain characters, though, I would try to stay away from so that you don't damage them and you can use them later on. So definitely there's some good picks here with Astonishing X-Men, Secret Avengers, Shuri. And, yeah, I would stay away from the Dark Hunters as well, because you're going to need them. Scarlet Witch actually is on this list, and Wong. But I don't think that's probably... Agatha is a villain, right? So, yeah, that's not going to be a choice for the Scourge event, probably. Could be a choice, though, when we go into the villain section. However, I believe she is the only villain character outside of Morgan who you're unlocking from that event anyways. But Scarlet Witch could be a good one here. If you've been building her prior to the Scourge event, you could include Scarlet Witch with your Secret Avengers, because they actually share some loose Avengers synergy, so that won't be terrible there. I don't think it'll be super difficult, but again, we have the Web Warriors and Dark Hunters. I'm not really going to spend much time going over that. You know, that's missions 5 and missions 10. If you're doing city at difficulties 5 or lower, then that's a little bit of a different situation. However, you're probably going to get on well again with the Web Warriors. Those are probably your best city characters. That, and you can also include Shang-Chi. You could use some of the Dark Hunters. If you're not running difficulty 6, Squirrel Girl is a really good choice as well for a healer. You have Cloak and Dagger. Again, really good choices here. So if you're running difficulty 5 or lower, it probably isn't going to be that hard to do. Now, where I think is going to be tough is the villain section, because we have not had like barely any villain releases over the course of basically the last year. You have Morbius, and once again, you're not going to want to use him because you're going to want to save him for the Dark Hunters section, so I would not consider using him. But what does stand out? Doctor Doom. Now, if you have Dark Dimension 4 completed and you have Doctor Doom built, great. You should probably be part of that team. But for villains more flatly, the choices are very, what I want to say, standalone. So, depending on your roster, depending on your veterancy, you know, like, how many of these older characters do you have up? You know, you're seeing, on my roster, you're seeing Thanos and Ebony Maw together. You're seeing, actually, frankly, the Black Order you could use in its entirety for this, which might be a little bit easier. However, for some newer players and mid-game players who, skipped over the Black Order meta, this might not be very important. So, some of the newer characters that I think that you will want to kind of pivot to, who you probably will have built to some degree, Omega Red and the Weapon X team. Now, Weapon X is 4 characters outside of Wolverine, and I think they're characters that are worth building. Silver Samurai, not much so, but I would definitely, Lady Deathstrike, Sabretooth, and Omega Red, these are 3 characters that you could definitely build. You could put some investment into Silver Samurai to get you through the nodes. Other than that, you can compensate, of course, with other villain characters, like I mentioned, depending on what you have available to you. Doc Ock is another good one. So I think I'm planning on using the 4 the 4 Weapon X characters, because there's good synergy with the team, and then run Doc Ock. If things get really bad, I'll pull in my Black Order and see if that's possible. It really depends on what the Scourges are, how many Scourges that you're going to be active, and whether or not the Scourges are going to fuck around with some of the characters that you decide to use, because some of the Scourges call out certain characters rather than others. For example, there's a Scourge that says if you generate ability energy, then you're going to get screwed with a bunch of debuffs and damage and stuff like that. So when we get closer to the time when the Scourges become more known, I'm hopefully going to be able to set up a spreadsheet that details all of the Scourges and what meta characters it F's around with, so that you can kind of decide which Scourges you want to use, how is that going to impact some of your characters, and so on and so forth. You can also use Nebula standalone here. She is a villain here too. But otherwise, you're kind of looking at like Marauders, Weapon X, Black Order, and like some here Zemo, Nebula, Scream and Scream, Venom, and Carnage, I suppose, if you're an old veteran character, and then Dr. Doom, of course. But for me, I'm going to start off with Weapon X and Doc Ock and see how I get on from there. And so that's going to be a really important consideration. So if you don't have a lot of good villains built up, you might want to consider that in the background, because that's going to be important to you getting through, because there's going to be 2 nodes of villain at 6 and 8. At least I'm pretty sure. There was at least 2 indicated that is going to be villain. Now, Cosmic, I don't think this is going to be very troubling either, for the same reason that Hero was pretty easy. There's a lot of really good cosmic characters, and so we have obviously the Eternals. Even if you ran them earlier on with the Hero section, they're probably still going to be alive because the Eternals are effing busted. You have Silver Samurai possibly as well. Once again, you have all the Black Order, frankly, are cosmic, so if you haven't used them yet, then you can pull that in. You have Infinity Watch, they're all cosmic as well. So there's a lot of, not Bishop, you probably don't want to use them standalone. You have Deathpool that you can add in with some mystic characters if you want. Infinity Watch here, Eternals, Silver Surfer. After that, it gets a bit rough. I mean, you could use Longshot and Shatterstar together. You could use Hela standalone, but yeah, I probably wouldn't move too far off this list. So it doesn't look too terrible. It just depends on where you're... Oh, sorry, Kestrel. Yeah, why did I forget about Kestrel? So depending on where you used her earlier on, if you used her in the Hero section of the Scourge event as well, you might still have her available for the Cosmic section. And so it really depends on your roster. It's going to be a little bit of a wider roster battle, especially at the higher difficulties that are prompting these trait requirements. But we didn't think that it was going to be a walk in the park. So I really hope that people didn't think that it was just going to be Web Warriors and Dark Hunters and that's it. Because yeah, there is going to be more. And I think that's really important to understand and kind of think about where your pitfalls might be. Because if you're running in difficulty 6, for example, you're going to want characters in the gear tier 14, 15 range. And are there any sections here on this list that you're going to have problems with? And I think where a lot of people will be having problems with, I think will be the villains section. I think if you've been keeping up with some of the latest metas, that you shouldn't have too much of a problem with cosmic. Heroes, of course, there's lots to choose from, and even global I don't think will be that difficult. So villains for me is going to be the most challenging aspect, I think, depending on what scourges. And I keep talking about the scourges because it's really important. So I don't know if you guys remember this post. This was here on Twitter, and it's more because I want to share with you guys, not the video itself, but there were, if I can just find the right section, did it load properly, where I've been having problems with my Twitter, actually. Cut to... Oh boy, okay. Let's see if I can get this working properly. Okay, so what I really wanted to jump to is there was a section here where it actually showed, and maybe I should have known that in advance. Yeah, this sucks. Let's take a pause, and I'll get to where I need to be. Okay, this was what I was trying to get to. This is part of the video. Sorry, my bad, guys. Where he kind of showed a slow scrolling of all of the Scourge events. And so as you can see, the Scourge bonuses, rather, or debuffs, really, because that's what it is. And you can see as they scroll down how many that are actually there. Now, it's actually separated by lowest to highest in terms of, like, I guess, getting worse as it goes down the list. But you want to really take into consideration some of these in terms of, which ones apply to certain characters more than others. There's, when a player character gains ability energy, each enemy deals 80% piercing damage. Each enemy deals 80% piercing damage to them. So, you really want to consider which Scourges that you're activating and which characters you're running in the actual Scourge event. So that's why I think that my spreadsheet, when I get around to it, when we get more information on that, is going to be really important on this. We have some of them known to us already, but, yeah, there's a lot. So just scrolling through here, you can see that there's quite a few different ones. Again, Devil's Bargain, when a player character gains ability energy, they gain defense down. Now, however that activates, is that going to activate before the piercing damage? Enemies generate 1 ability energy each time they generate ability energy. So many things here just fucking around with people with ability energy. And then you can see that, like, that was just about, like, I don't know, 10 or 15 of them. And, the bar was, like, only a third way through, right? So there's a lot of different Scourges. So that's just what I wanted to share. I don't think it really shows it again here. And you can kind of see here again, once again, on mission 1, it requires heroes, and the rest are kind of as we know it. And it was Pestilence difficulty 6 that was shown here. So we know that there's going to be other traits coming. So that's just what I wanted to share with you guys. And hopefully this has got you to thinking about your roster more more broadly where you're at right now, where you need to be when it comes time for the Scourge event, and hopefully we'll get some more official information. Of course, this might be subject to change, but I think at this point that they probably already have it in the bag that, you know, they're not going to make any major adjustments to how it's going to work from now on. So we'll see as we get closer to the event, and that's it for today's video. So of course, until next time, stay safe and healthy, and I'll see y'all later. Boilon signing out.